So Natalya, the same Natalya who's been coasting on her Hart family name for the past 5 years without winning anything significant, suddenly decides she deserves a championship match against Maxxine Dupri. Are you serious right now? Maxxine has been grinding as champion, defending against everyone, proving she's more than just a pretty face or a manager, and now we're supposed to believe that Natalya of all people is a credible threat to her title. This is either WWE finally giving Maxxine the legitimizing feud she desperately needs, or it's them setting up to feed their charismatic young champion to a veteran who hasn't been relevant since the Obama administration. And what Maxxine said when she called out Natalya has everyone questioning whether this is respect between professionals or the beginning of the most disrespectful feud in the women's division. Before we break down Maxxine's call-out and what this means for her championship reign, answer this: does Natalya deserve a title shot in 2024, or is she just taking opportunities from younger talent? Be brutal in your honesty below. Monday Night Raw just delivered a segment that has the women's division divided. Maxxine Dupri, the current champion, called out Natalya in what was either a confident champion's challenge or a desperate attempt to seem credible by association. And Natalya's response has set up a championship match that could define or destroy Maxxine's reign. Let's establish what happened because the words matter in situations like this. Maxxine apparently cut a promo addressing her championship reign, her accomplishments, and the state of the women's division. This is standard champion behavior, but the specific way she did it reveals her confidence level. Did Maxxine call out Natalya specifically, or did Natalya insert herself into the situation? That distinction matters because it shows who's driving this storyline. If Maxxine is choosing her challengers, that's power. If Natalya is forcing her way into a title shot, that's different. The tone of Maxxine's promo is crucial. Was she respectful, acknowledging Natalya's legacy while asserting her own dominance? Or was she dismissive, treating Natalya like an old-timer who's past her prime? The approach determines whether this is a respectful passing the torch story or a burial. Maxxine's championship reign has been interesting so far. She's not the most experienced wrestler, she came from a manager role with Alpha Academy, and many fans weren't sure she was ready for championship-level work, but she's been defying expectations. The fact that she's calling out Natalya suggests confidence. Maxxine isn't hiding behind easy opponents or ducking challenges. She's actively seeking out established names to prove her legitimacy. That's champion mentality. But it also creates risk. If Maxxine loses to Natalya, especially if she loses decisively, all her work as champion gets undermined. It becomes she was never really ready, she just got lucky until a real wrestler stepped up. The crowd reaction tells us how this landed. Were fans excited by the challenge? Did they boo Natalya as an outdated relic? Did they cheer her as a respected veteran? WWE's live audience reveals what the broader fanbase feels. What was your immediate reaction to Maxxine calling out Natalya? Excitement? Confusion? Dread? Tell me. Now let's talk about Maxxine Dupri as a champion because she's the most polarizing women's champion WWE has had in years. Some people love her character work, her improvement, her underdog story. Others think she was pushed too fast and isn't ready for the spot. Maxxine's journey is unconventional. She wasn't an indie darling. She didn't come from NXT with years of development. She was primarily a manager and personality who transitioned into in-ring competition. That non-traditional path creates skepticism, but Maxxine has shown improvement. Her matches have gotten better. Her confidence has grown. She's clearly working hard to earn her position. You can see the dedication in every performance. The question is, has she improved enough to be a credible champion? Is she ready for high-level feuds with veterans like Natalya? Or is she still learning on the job in a position she shouldn't have yet? WWE clearly sees something in Maxxine. They wouldn't make her champion if they didn't believe she could handle it. The company has invested in her character and her development. That's significant. But fans have a right to question whether she's ready. Being champion means you're the representative of the division. You're the one everyone points to as the standard. If you're not at that level, it hurts the entire division's credibility. Maxxine calling out Natalya is her way of proving doubters wrong. If she can have a good match with a veteran and retain her title, that legitimizes her reign. If she struggles or loses, that confirms doubters' concerns. The pressure on Maxxine is immense. She's not just defending a championship, she's defending her right to be champion. Every match is a test of whether she belongs in this position. Do you think Maxxine Dupri is ready to be champion, or was she pushed too soon? Explain your reasoning. Here's what's making people absolutely furious. Natalya getting another championship opportunity feels like WWE falling back on the same old faces instead of building new stars. How many times has Natalya been in title pictures? How many times have we seen her get opportunities based on her last name rather than current relevance? Natalya hasn't won a singles championship in years. She hasn't been positioned as a top contender in forever. She's been in a holding pattern doing nothing of significance. And now she deserves a title shot. This is WWE's constant problem. They rely on established names because they're safe instead of taking chances on new talent. It's risk-averse booking that prevents the roster from evolving. Young wrestlers like Maxxine need to beat new opponents, not recycle the same veterans over and over. Beating Natalya in 2024 doesn't mean what beating Natalya meant in 2010. The value has depreciated. But here's the counterargument: Natalya is still credible in many fans' eyes. She's a third-generation wrestler. She's technically excellent. She has legacy and pedigree. Using her to elevate Maxxine makes sense. Veterans exist to put over younger talent. That's their role at this stage of their careers. If Natalya can make Maxxine look good and give her a quality match, that serves a purpose. Plus, Natalya has been working consistently even without main event spots. She's a professional who shows up and does her job. That reliability has value even if it doesn't translate to championships. The real issue is WWE's lack of depth in women's challengers. If they had built more credible contenders, they wouldn't need to keep going back to Natalya. That's the systemic problem. Should veterans like Natalya still get title shots, or should opportunities only go to younger talent? Where's the balance? Let's discuss what this feud means for the women's division as a whole, because championship feuds set the tone for everyone else. If Maxxine and Natalya create compelling television, it benefits all the women. If it falls flat, it hurts everyone. The women's division needs heat. It needs storylines that make fans care. It needs feuds that feel important. Maxxine vs. Natalya can provide that if executed well, but it also needs new stars. The division can't rely on the same 5 women forever. Younger talent needs opportunities to break through and establish themselves. That's how you build for the future. Maxxine is part of that future. Whether she succeeds or fails as champion, she represents WWE's attempt to create new stars. That's admirable even if the execution is questionable. The other women on the roster are watching this feud closely. If Maxxine retains and looks strong, it shows that new champions can be protected. If she loses quickly, it suggests WWE doesn't trust young champions. There needs to be a pipeline of challengers. After Natalya, who's next for Maxxine? WWE needs to be building multiple credible threats so the champion always has fresh opponents. The quality of the division is measured by its depth. Are there 5 women who could realistically be champion? 10? Or are there only 2 or 3, with everyone else feeling like filler? That depth determines the division's health. Who in the women's division deserves a title shot more than Natalya? Name 3 women and explain why. Here's a controversial take: maybe Maxxine needs a veteran like Natalya to carry her through a championship defense. Maybe Maxxine isn't ready to have a great match with a less experienced opponent, so pairing her with a veteran covers her weaknesses. Wrestling is collaborative. The better your opponent, the better you can look. Natalya's experience means she can structure a match that makes Maxxine look like $1 million. This isn't burying Maxxine, it's acknowledging reality. She's still developing as a wrestler. Having matches with veterans helps her learn and improve. It's on-the-job training at the highest level. If Maxxine can have a good match with Natalya, it proves she's capable. If the match is rough, it shows she needs more development. Either way, we get valuable information about where Maxxine is in her journey. But the risk is that Natalya completely outshines Maxxine. If Natalya looks like the better wrestler throughout the match, that makes fans question why Maxxine is champion. The veteran should elevate the youngster, not expose them. WWE needs to protect Maxxine in this match. Give her strong moments. Let her hit big moves. Make sure she looks like a champion even if Natalya is doing most of the heavy lifting. The finish matters enormously. Maxxine needs to win decisively. No flukes, no roll ups, no countouts. A clean finish that establishes her as legitimately better than Natalya. Should WWE protect young champions even if it means veteran opponents look weaker? Or should matches be competitive regardless? Now let's talk about the promo battle, because that's where feuds are really built. Maxxine calling out Natalya was just the opening salvo. How both women handle the verbal sparring determines if fans invest emotionally. Maxxine's promo skills have improved, but they're not elite yet. She can be charming and charismatic, but can she cut a promo that makes people believe she's going to beat Natalya? That's the challenge. Natalya has years of promo experience. She knows how to structure arguments, how to get reactions, how to build heat. If this becomes a pure promo battle, Natalya has the advantage. But promo ability doesn't directly correlate to in-ring credibility. Some of the worst talkers have been great champions. It's about the total package, not just one skill. The narrative WWE crafts through these promos matters. Are they portraying this as experience versus youth? Tradition versus new generation? Underdog versus establishment? The framing affects how fans perceive the match. Maxxine needs to establish why she's champion and why she deserves to retain. She needs to articulate her value beyond just "I won the title." Give fans reasons to root for her. Natalya needs to establish why she deserves this opportunity now. What's changed? Why should fans believe she can win when she hasn't been positioned as a top threat? Justify the title shot. The best feuds have both wrestlers making valid points. If only one side of the argument seems reasonable, the feud feels unbalanced. Both Maxxine and Natalya need compelling cases. Who do you think is better on the microphone, Maxxine or Natalya? And does it matter for this feud? Here's what WWE absolutely must do to make this feud work and not waste either woman's time. First, give them time to develop the story. Don't rush to the match. Build anticipation through promos, confrontations, and possibly a non-title match. Second, make Natalya look credible as a threat. If she seems like an afterthought, beating her means nothing for Maxxine. Establish why this match is difficult for the champion. Third, protect both women in the match. Maxxine needs to look strong, but Natalya shouldn't look washed up. Both should come out with their credibility intact. Fourth, give Maxxine a decisive win. She needs a clean victory that establishes her as legitimately better. No controversy, no questions, just a clear winner. Fifth, set up Maxxine's next challenger. After Natalya, who's coming for the title? Build multiple threats so the championship feels important. Sixth, use this feud to develop Maxxine's character. What does being champion mean to her? How does she handle pressure? Give us depth beyond just she's the champion. What finish would best serve both Maxxine and Natalya? How should this match end? Let me give you my prediction for how this feud plays out. I think Natalya will initially dominate the verbal exchanges, making Maxxine look overmatched on the microphone. This creates doubt about whether Maxxine can win. I think there will be a non-title match or tag match where the result is inconclusive. Maybe Natalya wins through countout or DQ, establishing she can beat Maxxine under the right circumstances. I think heading into the title match, WWE will position it as Maxxine's toughest test. Commentary will question if she's ready. This builds drama even if we know Maxxine is probably retaining. I think the match itself will be competitive with Natalya looking strong. She'll control significant portions, hitting signature moves, making it believable she could win. I think Maxxine ultimately retains with a clean victory, possibly with a new finishing move or a creative counter that shows she's evolved as a wrestler. I think after the match, Natalya shows respect. She may not be happy about losing, but she acknowledges Maxxine earned the win. This protects both women and allows Natalya to move on gracefully. Do you agree with my predictions? What would you do differently? Give me your fantasy booking. Here's my final take on Maxxine Dupri calling out Natalya and putting her championship reign under threat. This is a defining moment for Maxxine's reign. How she handles a veteran challenger determines whether she's seen as a legitimate champion or someone who got lucky. Natalya is the perfect opponent for this stage of Maxxine's development. Experienced enough to carry a good match, credible enough to seem like a threat, but not so important that losing to her makes or breaks Maxxine's career. The women's division needs these kinds of feuds. Champions facing challengers in matches that feel important. That's how you build credibility for titles and wrestlers. WWE has an opportunity to elevate Maxxine through this feud if they book it correctly. A strong win over Natalya makes Maxxine look ready for bigger challenges, but they could also damage Maxxine if they book this poorly. If she looks overmatched or lucky to win, it reinforces doubters' concerns about her being pushed too fast. The next few weeks will reveal WWE's confidence in Maxxine. How much TV time does this feud get? How strongly is she booked? Those decisions tell us everything. Now I need your complete thoughts. On a scale of 1 to 10, how interested are you in Maxxine versus Natalya? Who do you want to win this match and why? Is Maxxine a good champion or was she pushed too soon? Does Natalya deserve this opportunity or should someone younger get it? What would make this feud must-see television for you? Who should challenge for the title after Natalya? Is this the biggest match of Maxxine's career so far? Smash that like button if you have opinions about this feud. Subscribe to Wrestling Newsletter because we're covering every women's division development. Hit that notification bell. Share this with everyone who cares about the women's division. Maxxine Dupri's championship reign is under threat from Natalya, and this feud could define both women's futures. The next chapter of Maxxine's reign begins now. Let's see if she can prove she belongs at the top or if this is where her championship story ends. This is going to be interesting.